Good day, everyone. I hope you all had a fantastic Friday. My Friday was full of fun stuff. So, today I worked 10 to 6. No big deal there. Just another shift. Nothing really to report. It's just a mid shift. So, yeah. And then the highlight of my day, and the majority of my day, and everyone else's, it would seem, Mafia Night. So we went to my boss's, the one who does the Mafia stuff. So we went over to his house and we played Mafia, just a bunch of games of Mafia. I was actually about an hour late, a little over an hour late, so there were a couple games that happened without me that I didn't get to be a part of, and then a couple games I was a part of, one of which I was eliminated early, so I quickly went upstairs, and I'm going to try my best to get through this quickly and concisely and not go into super detail, but who knows, because it's late, and I need to get to sleep. So after I was quickly eliminated in that game, I don't remember what I was, I think it was just a town. Yeah, I was. Those of us who had been eliminated already, and some of the latecomers that had just got there, went upstairs into one of the spare bedrooms, just sat around in a circle on the floor. We had 10 people in this particular game. I was town. Jesse was in this game as well with me. Jesse came, and he brought Heather, his wife. She came to one, and I don't know, she seemed to enjoy it. Yeah. Anyway, so she was still downstairs in the other game. Josh was in that game as well. And we went upstairs, and one of the guys that just got there was wearing a kind of a jacket, and it made like noise when he moved, a lot of noise. And so I was sitting, Jesse was to my right, and he was to my left. And I heard him moving quite a bit during Mafia, specifically during the framer portion of the Mafia time at night. And I'm like, he was moving a lot. I don't know if that's anything to go off of, but I heard a lot of movement during the framer. So I said the next morning, but first, not knowing that Jesse was the cop, I pointed when the cops woke up that very first night. I'm like, check him out, because I think he's not. And so Jesse, as the only cop in this particular game, checked him out. Immediately the next day, came forward as the cop and said that he found out he was guilty. And we weren't playing any rules that make it so if someone's seems guilty, they might not be. So if we found out he was guilty, he was really guilty. We got rid of him. There was a gun handed out, and the person who received the gun quickly, seemingly randomly, killed another person who also turned out to be Mafia, leaving only one Mafia left. And through a process of elimination, and basically what was me and Jesse going step by step, because by killing the first Mafia, we basically cleared ourselves, put ourselves completely in the clear. And for some reason, the remaining Mafia went after the person who shot the other Mafia with the gun, instead of the dual threat of me and Jesse. We thought we pinned down who the nurse was. Turns out we were right. So we were just like going through bits and pieces. For some reason there's a governor card included, so we found out one guy was the governor. We had two choices left, really, and we went ahead and took someone out that we weren't convinced was guilty. We didn't know he was innocent, but we weren't convinced he was guilty. We thought someone else was. But because that person who did wind up being the Mafia was connected, not boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, I don't know. But they came together, and they seemed to be together. So they were voting together. We couldn't convince him to think she was guilty. So we had to sacrifice our last remaining innocent townsperson in order to then say, look, you're the nurse, he's the cop, and I found out the first Mafia. All three of us are innocent. Has to be her. In which case he switched. We got her out. Town won. Then we get done, and we're about to go outside to start a game, but then the inside game ends pretty abruptly right then, at that exact moment. So I stayed inside. So I've actually got to play no games outside, which was good. I prefer it that way. So then everything got kind of a blur. We played several large games, small games. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of details. about any of them until the last 3, maybe. The last 2 are probably going to blur together, and I'll have trouble remembering it, honestly. I remember the last one for sure. And there was one in particular, the third to last one, where we were playing, and this one inexperienced player didn't really know what she was doing. So we're trying to like coach her through it, say this is what you need to do if this is your role or this is your role. And she was just kind of like, oh, I got it, and she starts doing it, and she was a crazy. It was a wild card. It was crazy. She was a wild card. That's what I meant to say. She was just a wild card. Ultimately, I mean, I got eliminated because she accused me, even though nobody thought I was until she did that, and then everyone just sort of jumped on the bandwagon. So I was eliminated at that point, and it sucked. But somehow in the insanity and everything that happened, I was town, and somehow in all the insanity, town wound up winning. But no, wait. No, Mafia wound up winning. We lost. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The next game I was Mafia. I was the So there were 3 more games. That was the 4th to last game. The next game, I was originally given the Arsonist card. No, never mind. The game before. Yeah, the game before the one I just described, the 4th to last game. We had several Mafia. I was an Arsonist. And I was going to get to be the Arsonist and play and everything. But there were 3 Yakuzas in this game, it turned out. And one of them decided they wanted to strike on the first night. And even though I'm giving them gestures saying I'm, like, this is an A, kind of, I'm an Arsonist, look at the fire, I'm lighting something, I have a good card, right here, you want me on your side, you don't need to make me on your side, whatever. Even though all that happened, the guy Yakuza on the first night and turned me from Mafia to Mafia. Completely pointless turn, but it meant I was no longer an Arsonist. Didn't get to really use anything, which was disappointing. So that's why when we played another game after that, the moderator decided he was going to give everybody cards he wanted to. And so just to make it funny, he wanted to go ahead and give me a chance to be an Arsonist. So I was an Arsonist. And there was a second Arsonist. And at first we were told to each douse one person. So he chose someone, I chose someone. Then the next round he decided that's not fair. So we chose a third person together, and then he told us of the first 2 people we had to choose one of them. And so we said we went and chose the person that I had doused. The person that the other guy had doused was Jesse. So he got undoused. And then we doused someone else who wound up getting killed. There was a point in time where one of the guys was telling us he was Mafia, but it turned out he wasn't Mafia. We believed him at first, but then he did something that proved to us, Mafia, that he was, or us Arsonists at least, that he was in fact not being completely truthful, and he was actually town and actually cop. And so we doused him, and then right before we went to sleep, or actually right after we went to sleep technically, he was like, wait, I want to use my gun, because he had a gun, and he wanted to use it on me because he thought I was guilty, which I was. And he's like, so then the moderator said, no, I already called for night, we go to sleep. And then he decides it's not fair that he didn't let him kill me because he knows I'm about to kill him. So he says, if you're going to light it now, it's not fair, so you have to change, and I'm not going to kill him, you have to change someone else. So I reluctantly, didn't think it was fair, but I reluctantly transferred the dousing over to Jesse, because he'd already technically been doused anyway, and then I lit everything up. And so Jesse, another guy, 3 of the 4 people we doused died. The 4th person was already dead, because he had used his gun to take out a Mafia, and then for some reason the Mafia took him out. I don't know what the reason was, because I was an Arsonist on the side of the Mafia but not voting with the Mafia. So they did it for whatever reason. I ultimately didn't know who the Mafia was almost the entirety of that game. And I don't remember which placement that game was in. But now I'm going to go quickly, because I'm at 10 minutes, and like I said, I gotta get to bed. To the last game, which was pretty crazy. Having trouble remembering the second to last game. Like I said, it's a blur. If I remember more, maybe I'll put some more bits and pieces in tomorrow's vlog, especially if I don't have anything else to talk about. But yeah, so this game, I was a sleeper agent, formerly known as the consigliere, now called the sleeper agent. So basically, I am on the side of the Mafia. I'm pulling for the Mafia, and I'm going to stay asleep like a townsperson, but at any point in the game, at one of the nights, I can wake up with the Mafia and become a full-fledged Mafia. So I actually was a sleeper agent to the point where I kind of forgot that I was actually on the side of the Mafia, and so I was throwing out arguments against the Mafia, really pointing people towards the Mafia, which ultimately almost played perfectly, even though it shouldn't have probably. But what ended up happening is we got this person out, we got this person out, this person out. It was all kind of random, nothing big. And we don't know what the rules are, but the moderator's over there laughing and giggling like he played a trick on us or something. So we're thinking he's got like a really weird assortment of characters and stuff. So of course Nate wants to, the host wants to just have everyone come forward and say what they are. And so I maintained my innocence. I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Finally, they kept poking me a little more, so I said I'm town, which wasn't true. But hey, it's part of the game. That's the way I justify it. So, and that I just stayed the same with that. I'm town, I'm playing town, regular town, nothing else. And the consistency, I think, won a lot of people over, and so I almost got voted for, and they went it backing off, and so the vote never happened. And then I'm working, basically saying I think he's guilty, I think she's guilty. And like I said, by this point, I'd forgotten that I was a sleeper agent and that I was pulling for the Mafia. And I'm just trying to play as a townsperson and get them to make the right choices. And so I'm thinking, he's guilty and she's defending him, so by association, she's guilty as well. Which I was completely right about, by the way. But I didn't know any of this because I was still a sleeper agent and couldn't actually wake up with the Mafia to see until I chose to. So we killed him off. Turned out he was, in fact, Mafia. I wound up not voting for him. I changed my mind at the last second, just because we were trying to talk about another possibility, and then we switched it back again right last second. Anyway, to make a long story short, he was eliminated. That night, I woke up. I opened my eyes. We had a gunsmith, Batman, a nurse, a cop, and two who were used, me and the other person who was actually the Mafia. The last remaining Mafia, if I didn't wake up, turned out. And she was actually a Yakuza, it also turned out, which means she could turn someone else. And so I wake up, and I'm like, alright, I'm awake, I'm now Mafia. And so we, like, who are we gonna kill? And so we're thinking, all I know is that we need to get rid of someone. So I'm thinking the gunsmith and the cop are both equally dangerous, because the gunsmith can give out a gun either now or after, and if he doesn't give it out now, then if he does give it out now, then it's kind of pointless, but otherwise. And we thought the nurse, who was Nate, the host again, we thought he was probably going to save himself, but if he didn't save himself, he would save the cop, which is his wife. And so I went with Tim, and the other Mafia agreed, and then she taps me and says, who should I turn? And I'm like, wait, you're Yakuza? That would have been useful. And so I try to get her to turn Batman, because it seems like the nurse and the cop are more likely to be obvious targets for the turning. Can't convince her though, and she says she turns Nate, the nurse, and she turns him Mafia. And then we wake, and so she herself dies at that point. Batman also guns for her, but because she died anyways, Batman's kill was a waste. I was apparently very good in convincing them to go for her, but then she was dead, and what was left? We had a cop, Batman, and a townsperson from what they thought. I was actually just woke up, sleeper agents, but they could have thought I was town. And there was enough doubt, I thought, to try to convince the cop to go for Batman. But in the end, they wound up going for me. And the game ended with me being lynched by the town, which was Batman and a cop. That was the whole town that was left. We almost pulled it off. But it was still a pretty epic match. Alright, 15 minutes was a little longer than I was hoping, but realistically probably what I was expecting. So, tomorrow I gotta work again, 10 to 6, and I got some plans in the evening with some more people from the drive. So, good night everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow.